today, then it was worth it. So I know it's a Saturday. Happy Saturday, you guys. Again, if you're just joining, I'm Patrice Washington. I am the founder of the Institute for Redefining Wealth. I'm the host of the Redefining Wealth podcast, where for 6.5 years now, we have amassed a community of purpose chasers from all over the world who believe that wealth is so much more than just money and material possessions. And we believe that, we honor that, we live by that, because we know that the original 12th century definition of wealth is the condition of well-being and happiness. And so we want to make sure that we are well in what I have coined the 6 pillars of wealth. And this is just all of the areas of your life that impact your finances, even when you're not thinking about it. So even though I was known in media for over a decade as America's money maven, been on talk shows, TV shows, magazines, stages all over the world, all the things, it always to me comes back to this idea that no matter how much personal finance success you desire, you're not going to get there until you develop yourself personally. You can get the money, but you won't keep it. Because somebody say amen, because you've already been there before. You've been the person who's prayed for the job that had more money, and then you got the job, you made more money, and then still there were always a series of things where you felt like it was preventing you from being able to really master your financial life. Well, you don't really master the outside until you master the inside, right? And many of us don't even have an opportunity to master the inside because we're not asking ourselves better questions. We're not leading our life with vision. Yes, the app is totally free. Come on over. Redefiningwealth.app, or you can find it on your app store. You're not actually like locking into a vision that compels you so much, right? That you do better things with your finances. Right now, you're just doing whatever feels good at the moment, but you're not doing anything with intention and focus and purpose, right? So when I first started many, many years ago, my cards used to say changing roots, changing fruits, changing lives. Changing roots, changing fruits, changing lives. And I was reminded of that because just this past week, I did a VIP day with a client, and she wrote me the most beautiful, beautiful thank you letter I have ever received from anyone. And in it, she said, basically, that I've been changing her roots. Now, I had not said that my original cards said that back in the day. We're talking 2011, 2012. But changing roots, changing fruits, changing lives means we cannot change fruit without changing roots. Imagine you are a big oak tree in a beautiful field, right? Right now, you're a big oak tree, or you're a big tree of any kind. You can choose the fruit. And as I'm walking up, like, from a distance, it looks like, ooh, right? We're walking up. You're not the tree. You're imagining the tree. You're walking up. And from a distance, it looks like the fruit looks good. This fruit is the job title. This fruit is the house with the white picket fence. This fruit is the spouse. This fruit is the vacations that you show us on Instagram. And from a distance, it looks amazing, right? From a distance, it looks outstanding. But as we get up closer to the tree, we realize that some of these things are rotten. There's little worms, little brown patches. It just doesn't look as appealing when we really get up on it. And if we want that fruit to look any different, can we just talk to the fruit and command it to look different? Yes or no? Can you just talk to the fruit and command and demand that it look different? Yes or no? Demetrius said flies all over it. Think of bruised fruit. Think of it just brown and just undesirable, right? From a distance, it looks good, but when you get up on it, doesn't look that great. This is like your financial life, right? So many things can look so good from a distance. This is why we get sucked into the cycle of allowing people to applaud us for accomplishments that don't even matter to us, that don't even feel good, that don't even really resonate. It looks good because it's attached to a certain paycheck, but on the inside, you're rotting. Your gifts are spoiling. The things that you genuinely want to do, you're not doing, right? The things that would light you up, bring you joy, have you really shiny, looking shiny on the outside and looking your best, it's not happening. You don't change it by changing jobs. You don't change it by changing cities. You don't actually change the fruit on the tree until you pluck up those thoughts and ideas, relationships, environments that no longer serve you, right? And plant something new. Until you deal with the roots, there are no new fruits. And if there's no fruit, there's no change in your life. And so for 2024, if we're going to do something different, one of the things that I just want to offer you is that you have to have a new vision for your life. In redefining wealth, we call it dreaming a new dream. But you have to have a new vision for your life. You have to see the possibility for this tree. Just because this tree has rotting fruit now, it won't always, if you pluck up the roots and do something new and do something different. And one of the ways that we stay committed to the hard work of pulling roots and planting something new, the way that we stay committed to the hard work is by aligning with a vision that we truly believe in. So I want to share with you some of the things that we talked about. Let's see. Yeah, I want to share with you some of the things that we talked about at Committed to the Vision, because I believe it's just something that you could get behind, right? And really get aligned with. So we won't be here long. This is just kind of a loose recap of what we talked about this past week. And if you want to binge the replays, you can do it now before tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m., all of these replays in the Redefining Wealth app will come down, and they will only be available to people who are in the Institute for Redefining Wealth. And if you're already in the Institute, cool, you don't have to worry about it. You can watch it at your leisure. But let's go through this. So this is for you, and the entire Committed to the Vision slides, excuse me. The entire Committed to the Vision training for 4 days was really geared towards people who wanted to stop being paralyzed by people pleasing, overthinking, and small thinking. This is about you being in a space where you can actually achieve the vision that's on your heart. You don't want to talk about it anymore. Some of us are tired of talking about the same thing year after year after year. We're tired of talking, and we want to do. We want to learn to prioritize our own dreams instead of always only, working for other people's dreams. And we want to be unapologetic about taking bold action steps to actually bring it to fruition. So if this is you, say this is you in the chat, so I know I'm in the right place. If you're tired of being paralyzed by people pleasing, overthinking, or small thinking, if you know that God is giving you a vision much greater than you're allowing yourself to walk in, say this is me. I just need one person. If one person says this is me, then I will know I'm in the right place, because I'm going to still give you what I came to give you, whether there's one person or 100 people or 1,000 people. Is there one person? Arden says yes. Okay, Arden, it's just me and you. I'm here for Arden. So Arden, let's go through this real quick. These are 5 reasons your vision possibly hasn't been manifesting. Okay, I see more this is me's. I'm glad you're good. So this is really going to go through the reasons you keep falling off on accomplishing your goals, no matter how enthusiastic you are at the start. So as a reminder, again, hey there, I see some purpose chasers. I see some Institute members in the house. I'm Patrice Washington. I'm the host of the Redefining Wealth podcast. We're now at 17 million downloads. I have loved that space for 6+ years. The author of Redefine Wealth for Yourself, as well as 4 other books on personal finance. I've been a coach, a mentor. I'm the host of Redefining Wealth Live, which is a phenomenal event you should consider coming to in October here in Atlanta. I am a financial coach on the show Opportunity Knocks on PBS. We are in our 2nd season of filming. It will be out in May, and then we go right into filming season 3. But the reason I wanted to show you this slide, honestly, is the picture in the middle. That is me on my graduation day with my MBA in behavioral finance and financial psychology with my daughter, who is now 16. That's crazy. For those of you who have been in my world for quite some time, maybe back when I was on the Steve Harvey show or Dr. Oz quite a bit and all those things, we used to call her Mini Money Maven. She is actually downstairs at this very moment studying for the SAT. So I have been at this a long time because you guys knew her when she was 3 and 4 and 5 years old. So I know Dimitri is like, that's crazy. It's crazy to me. But I wanted to share the picture in particular for my graduation. Again, behavioral finance and financial psychology, because today I want to share with you how we are dropping in a lot of the financial psychology terminology. But the thing about me is I'm deeply rooted in my I would say in my spirituality as a whole, and what was committed to the vision was really a dream that I had, and everything that we continue to talk about day after day after day was really spirit led and divine. And so I want to offer this to you, whether you're in the app or not, whether you choose me as your coach in the Institute for Redefining Wealth or not. I really wanted to really bridge the gap between the discipline of financial psychology and then how you actually live your life, in the hopes that it'll give you some level of breakthrough, so that you can make the progress you want to make this year on your finances, but really ultimately your vision. So here's number one. The number one thing that we learned this week at Committed to the Vision is you lack aligned vision. Many of us lack aligned vision. We are not taught to align our vision with our thoughts, our beliefs, our relationships, our environment, our speech, our herd, like herd being the people that we're around, aligning everything that we say we desire up ahead with how we naturally navigate our lives today. Some of us are saying that we have new goals for 2024, but you are using the same outdated, familiar mindset that you've always had. This is why you can think of things to do, but you don't necessarily tap in and lean into it on a daily basis. And then it feels like you fall off, right? So, one of the things that I shared with you like a couple weeks ago were that these were some questions to ask yourself today so that you could start to align, really align your vision with the rest of your life. And we taught about, let me take these slides off because this is distracting me. When my computer shut down, you guys, it literally it did a whole bunch of stuff. So let me just talk how I know to talk. We're not going to use slides right now. So here's what we taught. When you are coming into alignment with a core vision that you have, when you think about this is what I want to create for 2024, there's 3 things you need to get in alignment with. And again, all of this is outlined in the Redefining Wealth app with the slides. But let me just give you high level. Physiological vision is what you see. This is your starting place. This is, yes, I have to take into account where I am, but I don't have to be beholden to that. Many of us say that we are dreaming about a certain thing, but we live as if we only have access, like we only can move forward based on what we have right in front of us. That is a piece of it. It allows you to be realistic, but it is not the only thing. Physiological vision gives you a starting place, but many of us get trapped in thinking that that's all there is. You only set goals based on what you can see, not what you believe is possible. You only set goals based on who you know, as if you couldn't be introduced to anyone else or to anything else that could support your vision, right? You are so committed to only operating from where you are today. If, of course, you feel stuck. Of course, the vision isn't manifesting. No one accomplishes their greater vision by only being attached to where they are today. It has to be coupled with creative vision. Creative vision is, what are you dreaming? What do you see in your imagination for what's possible? What do you believe is possible? Many of us, this is why I keep talking about dreaming a new dream. Many of us are not taught to dream. Many of us got in trouble for daydreaming when we were younger. People used to say, stop all that daydreaming. Do you realize what that cut you off from? It cut you off from possibility. So now you navigate the world as I'm just a realist. It's cool. to be a realist, but you don't make anything different happen when all you do is focus on where you are and not what is possible for your future, right? You have to have creative vision as well in order to actually believe that there is some other possibility for you. Me building redefining wealth, you can go back here on YouTube or wherever you're watching. I started this in 2017. I started with what I had and where I was, but my vision was always to create a beautiful community of people that supported one another, that didn't necessarily rely on Patrice Washington. I'm one person, but I said, I want to create a space where I can attract like-hearted people, not just like-minded, but like-hearted. I desire to create a space where people will come together from all over the world and they are using the same language of abundance. They are living by the pillars. They are optimistic about their future. They are redefining wealth for themselves. That has been a vision of mine the entire time. I had to see what we are now experiencing in the Redefining Wealth app well before the app existed, well before I had the finances to invest in building such an app, well before I knew who the people would be, well before, all the things that have had to happen in these last several years. No matter where you are with your physiological vision, when you tap into creative vision, it gives you the power of next steps, because you're like, I want to give God something to bless. Let me do what I can do. Even though I'm starting here, let me do what I can do, right? So there's physiological vision. What do I see? There's creative vision. What do I see in my dreams, in my mind's eye, when I think about the vision, right? And then there's organizational vision. Organizational vision, think about any corporation that we see out here. Think about Target, Walmart, Nike, Redefining Wealth. Any company that you see has a vision statement. One of my favorite affirmations is, I am the CEO of my life, which means that you and I get to run our lives like we are Fortune 500 companies. You could be a Fortune 100 company, but if you run your life that way, what does that mean? You're going to start with a mission and a vision. That organizational vision is what helps you lay out your steps. Companies, organizations who last, who thrive, they are already thinking about where they want to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So that dictates the goals that they are working on today. Did that just help somebody? Aligned vision. When I say you're not moving forward because you don't have aligned vision is literally the physiological vision based on what I see, where am I starting from? The creative vision, what am I imagining and dreaming? And the organizational vision, what are the steps to get there? When you treat yourself like the CEO of your life, like you are a Fortune 100 company, Crystal, you start to think about things in this way. So we don't weaponize physiological vision. We don't weaponize where we're starting from. We honor where we're starting from, but we honor it as a start. We don't honor it as the end all be all. And when you start to align in this way, then you start to ask better questions. You start to think more boldly and more proactively. You don't sit around reactively waiting for things to happen. This is the power of aligned vision. If you started 2024 and said, oh, I have all of these random goals, but they didn't connect to that vision, then you have just been doing busy work, and it's no wonder you're giving up quickly. It's no wonder you're giving up quickly. So I hope that first point helps someone. Here's the second one. I want to share with you. This is a picture of an anchor. And so in financial psychology terminology, we refer to anchoring bias, which basically says that investors are committed to the first piece of information they got about a thing. Even if it's not right, that's what they actually commit to. So anchoring bias, when you think about your vision, right? And then think about what you may have heard about rich people. Think about what you may have heard about wealth. Think about what you may have heard about success. Many of us grew up hearing unsupportive ideas and thoughts about wealth, about money, about rich people, about business owners, about entrepreneurship. We heard things like it takes money to make money. We heard things like, well, money doesn't grow on trees. And we heard things like, uh, rich people are evil. We heard all of these. What's some of the things you guys heard? We heard all of these unsupportive things. And then we say we have a vision to start a business. Just because you have that vision, if you are still anchored to unsupportive stories, the anchor is going to keep pulling you back, right? I love cruises. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I love watching us come in to dock, right? And sometimes, and even on like boats that I've been on, right? Sometimes what you see is them throw the anchor, and the anchor, goes down, and then the boat is actually connected to the chain. Like, right? That chain is the thing that keeps you in place. Now, because you're on water, you're always going to drift around. That's just how water works. You're going to drift. The anchor doesn't keep you like still. It just keeps you from drifting too far away. My question for you is, here's my question. My question for you is, if you think about everything that you're saying you want, is it possible that you set these little goals and you kind of float about and you kind of, feel like you're making a little progress, but you keep coming back and ending up in the same place because you are anchored and chained to things that don't support you? You are anchored and chained to childhood stories that do not support the vision you say you have, right? Some of us, our anchors have a chain around our hands, and we act like we can't use what we already have. So no matter how much business coaching you go and get, no matter how much you go and get more certifications and, degrees and all this stuff, we keep going to get all of those things thinking it's going to be the thing. Those things allow us to drift only so far. But ultimately, the anchor is going to pull us right back to where we're supposed to be based on that anchor. So many of us have chains around our hands and we act like we can't use what we already have. Some of us have anchors and chains around our feet because we refuse to take a step and give God something to bless, because we're so afraid of being wrong or having to take responsibility for our actions, right? And some of us have a chain around our waist. We are just tethered to people who don't share our vision, or any vision for that matter, right? So if I don't have a vision for my life, of course, I'm not going to be able to hold space for your vision. Why would I be able to hold space for your vision if I don't have a vision for my life? So you have to look at where you're being anchored. What is your anchoring bias? What is that first thing that you may have heard, or the messages that you were hearing? And now, if you're honest, you're so anchored to something you heard 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago that no matter what you say the vision is, you can only get into it so far. And if that anchor pulls you right back. Until you change that anchor, your vision is not going to manifest. You're going to do a lot of busy work. You're going to do a lot of chasing of things, and you're going to do it in the name of, ooh, when this happens, then I'll be able to. A lot of us have a when this, then that. When I finally do this thing, how many of you have thought that when you finally got the job, it was going to be the thing that changed your life and changed your finances? How many of you thought, when I finally get this spouse or get rid of this spouse, then all of a sudden things are going to change? How many of you thought, oh, when I finally move over here, when I do this, when I do that? These are all things that allow you to only go so far, because deep down, mentally, possibly energetically, spiritually, you are anchored to some things that don't support you. So that is a reason your vision won't manifest in the way that you want it to. And until you recognize that, you can't recondition it. You got to break the chain. You'll have to break that anchor in order to really make progress on the vision. Okay. Now, here's number 3. Because I told you I would try to fly through this. Number 3, you don't set your life up to support the vision. You say you have a vision and you declare some things, but then you don't set your life up to actually support the vision. We say one thing and then we do something else. It's like saying, I want to move from Atlanta to California, right? How do I get there? And then I look up directions to DC. Well, what is it? What is it? I start preparing my car and buying a ticket or whatever. If I'm going to fly, I'll buy a ticket to DC. I'm saying that I want to go in one direction, but all of my actions are doing something totally different. This is why we say the secret sauce around here is to use the pillars. So again, Redefining Wealth was founded in 2017, and we founded it, we being me, on the 6 pillars that I believe supported me every time I had to reinvent myself and create a new dream for what wealth could look like in my life. So I started a 7-figure business, what became a 7-figure business straight out of college. I lost that business in the recession to the point of scraping up change, from 7 figures to scraping up change, being on welfare, begging the power people to turn my lights back on, eviction notices on the door all the time. Like, I had gone from all of this stuff down to nothing. I went from a 6,000 square foot home in Southern California to a 600 square foot box of an apartment in Metairie, Louisiana. That was my life in 2008 and 2009. By 2014, I had written 2 books. I was on the Steve Harvey Morning Show on nationally syndicated radio, and then the Steve Harvey Talk Show and the Dr. Oz Show as well, and a number of other things. How did I do it? Right? When I was bawling, snot, and crying on the bathroom floor in Metairie, Louisiana, in that teeny tiny apartment on March 9th, 2009, I found the scripture, Proverbs 17:16, and it said, what good is money in the hands of a fool if they have no desire to seek wisdom? What good is money in the hands of a fool if they had no desire to seek wisdom? That's why to this day, my name is Seek Wisdom on Instagram and everywhere, really. Seek Wisdom PCW. I say that because over the years, when people would ask me how I did it, if I were honest, it had nothing to do with checking my credit all the time. It had nothing to do with budgeting every day. It had nothing to do with all of the common things people associate with personal finance. When I was on the bathroom floor, not only did I find that scripture, I also looked up what the true distinction between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge was information and education. Wisdom was knowing how to apply it. Knowledge is information. Wisdom is how do you apply it? When do you apply it? With whom do you apply it? Right? And then I started looking up wealth. This is where in 2009, I found that the original definition of wealth was the condition of well-being. And so I felt it instinctively. I need to be well. Even for what I see where I am, physiological vision, here's where I am. I need to be well. And I started to do things that I did not call pillars until 2017. This is where the 6 pillars of wealth was born. Because by 2017, I have been coaching people. I have been working with people one-on-one. I ended up working in a financial education nonprofit. This is the stuff I was doing behind the scenes. I just didn't talk about it publicly because I was known as a finance expert and people were not ready to receive it. I would say, oh, I want to talk about this thing. And people were like, we really want you to talk about budgets this month. Wouldn't that be fun? We really want you to talk about saving on groceries. And I'm like, but that's not the thing that changed my life. Some of those things help, but that was not the thing that actually changed my life. So in 2017, I started to talk more through the podcast and in media about what actually changed my life, and it's the 6 pillars of wealth. But last year, I changed how I was describing it because I realized that people were thinking about the pillars in these silos and not seeing how integrated they really were. That if you're saying that financial success and money or whatever is the vision that you want to move towards, you have to understand that these pillars are designed to support the vision. 5 reasons your vision isn't manifesting. Number 3, you don't set your life up to support you, meaning you're not using the secret sauce that these pillars afford you. You're saying you want one thing, but you're not, your fit pillar is off. Fit pillar determines your attitude towards the vision, becoming your best self. How are we praying for things we don't have the mental capacity to sustain? How are we saying, oh, I want all of these things, but we're not mentally prepared to do it? We're not physically prepared to do it, right? People, you want this thing, but you're not creating relationships that guide you to getting there easier. I am so relationally wealthy. It blows my mind on a daily basis. Whether it's my romantic relationship, my relationship with my child, my prayer partner, my super friends, which are my good girlfriends, my clients, my team, I am so relationally wealthy. You can't tell me the vision that I have for 2024 and beyond will not come to fruition. I'm already living in it because I was able to say that I really feel led to launch the Redefining Wealth app and the Institute for Redefining Wealth, and it just opened, and we have almost 1,000 people in the app in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I see when I saw it in my mind first, but I had to align myself with the right people. So I've been working on my people pillar for all these years and removing people that did not align with the vision too. Oh, because baby, when you get clear about what the vision is, we think it's just about what we have to add. Some of this is what you'll have to subtract to get to that vision. Some of this is what you're going to have to subtract to get to the vision, right? Space pillar. How are you setting up your life, your physical environment to support the vision? Faith, right? Your faith is what gives you a belief in the vision. You can't enroll anyone in a vision that you don't believe in. So how do you stay committed when life is bringing you resistance? How do you keep the resilience going? That's a part of the faith pillar. Work. How is living your life's purpose? Like, how is that impacting the vision? Do you see how all of these things come together to support the vision? The pillars are not supposed to be these random one-off things that are all over the place. They are designed to be the things that guide you and usher you into the vision in the most authentic way possible. So I hope that blesses someone, and you can go deeper. Again, if you did not get to join me for Committed to the Vision for 4 days this past week, the replays go away on Sunday evening. That's February 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern. Get in there and binge those replays. They were absolute magic. They were fire. Okay. Number 4, you're still confusing vision with goals. I asked during the Committed to the Vision challenge, I said, tell me what your vision is. And overwhelmingly, people started to list their goals. I asked for vision, but they gave goals. And I'm sure that's like many of us. We confuse the two. Vision and goals are not the same. So you want to know why your vision isn't manifesting? Because vision is what you see, goals are how you get there. When you keep conflating the two, you're confusing the process. So without vision, what you've been doing at the beginning of every year, or when you set out to do something new, is you set arbitrary goals that sound good, but they don't necessarily mean anything. Right? Because when you see the vision and you keep that top of mind, working on the goals becomes easier. When you're just working on random goals that are not set up to support the vision, you're pushing and striving and forcing all over the place, and you're very busy. Your calendar is very full, but it's not leading you towards the vision. You have to establish what the vision is first, so that whatever you decide to do on a daily basis is actually making progress. When you see the vision, then you can commit. This is why I named this Committed to the Vision. When you see the vision, then you can commit, because no one commits to goals. That requires willpower. Vision is a commitment to what you believe is the will on your life in this season. Let me say it again. People don't commit to goals. That's just willpower. You execute goals and check things off from your willpower. But when you have vision, you see it as a commitment to what you believe is the will on your life. I keep doing the things, I get consistent, I show up, I'm not acting interested, I'm fully committed because there's a bigger picture. When there's no bigger picture, there is no real benefit to you sacrificing to do the things. This is why we fall off. This is why we don't follow through. So now we set this goal. Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. And then the first thing we go to, we eating and drinking every single thing. We fall off on working out. It's not even mid-January and we falling off. Maybe that wasn't even the fit pillar goal you were assigned to in this season. Maybe based on your vision, your fit pillar goal was that you needed to be in therapy. But you made a goal to lose 10 pounds because you thought it sounded good. It's not to say that you don't want the 10 pounds to come off, but is that the thing you're committed to at this moment when it comes to what is going to move the vision forward? We are out of alignment. We are just so used to doing things to be busy. We are so used to just filling our calendar with arbitrary things. We will never manifest the vision if we don't stop confusing goals and vision. When someone says, "What is your goal?" that's an action step. When they say, "What's your vision?" that's your aspiration. Come on, somebody. Vision is the aspiration. What are you aspiring to? Goals are the action steps to get you to that aspirational ideal that you have. They are not the same. So when you see the vision, dropping what doesn't align becomes easier. When you see the vision, every time God gives me a new vision and I get clear on that, I am so willing to X out 80% of the things that I used to do in order to get the vision. And it does not matter to me who likes it, who aligns with it, who feels it doesn't matter. There are some things I've had clients who were upset with me for stopping certain programs. I'm not beholden to you. I'm beholden to the vision that God gave me. I've stopped doing things that were 7-figure money makers in my business because it no longer aligned with the vision God gave me. When I say chase purpose, not money, that's not a cute thing to say on the podcast. That is how I live. And because of obedience, have been rewarded over and over and over again. Some of us are just trying to force all kinds of things and we are running ourselves ragged. We can't make any decision from a spirit of conviction. Everything takes a chorus of consensus from a million other people. You're just not clear on your vision. Because once you get clear on the vision, you really don't need to wait and be beholden to the validation of a zillion other people. That's what's exhausting you. You don't listen to your soul. You prioritize external information over internal intuition, and your vision is going to come from your creative mind, from your soul. And we just refuse to believe that that's enough. When you start to tap into the fact that that's enough, and then you set your life up to support you, baby, the things that can happen for you, the doors that can fly open, the relationships that seem to just come out of nowhere. But that's because you're in the energy, in a space of being able to attract what it is you say you want, right? Now you're giving God something to bless. You're not giving him your little frazzled, tired, exhausted energy that comes from your disobedience. So now you can get access to the things that were already there for you to begin with, right? And number 5, woo, if this has been good, say it was good. And I'll leave this up so you guys can catch it. But really, you should come to Committed to the Vision. I just felt like somebody needed to hear. There was 4 days of such fire teaching, and we had 1,000 people sign up. But I feel like, you know, when you have altar call at church and you're like, is there one? Let's see. Ms. Hersubo said this is good. Yeah. You know, when you've been to church and you have altar call and you're like, is there one? I really, you can tell that I'm actually tired. I'm not gonna lie. You saw I was being forgetful in the beginning. I'm tired. Um, this was really just a weekend to prepare for my own trip and all of that. And I just woke up. My team didn't know I was going live. I'm sure some of them got notifications that said, "What is she over there doing?" Um, I felt like I needed to just say to someone who may have heard about Committed to the Vision, maybe you signed up but then didn't come. Maybe you meant to come back. Maybe I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know who you are. It's just, I felt led to just come and make sure that you knew that in this season, if you are going to hit that vision, you have to be clear about why it's not happening. The lack of aligned vision, being anchored to the wrong things, not setting your life up to support you, and being someone who still confuses vision with goals and thinking you did something, right? What is this, Jessica? I woke up so sad about my dreams this morning. I thought of those before me that were relentless towards their dreams, and I heard, "What is mine?" and then found this. Well, Jessica, if I am only here for you today, it is well worth it. And you sent that at 1:11 p.m., at least Eastern time. And I see 1:11, 11:11 all day, every day. And which makes me always feel like I'm so aligned and my heart is just, whoo, and I'm so where I'm supposed to be in the moment. So, Jessica, if I was only here for you, then I'm here for you. If you are not in my Redefining Wealth app, it's totally free. Committed to the Vision is still up. It's coming down tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern. Girl, if you need something to binge today that will get you fired up about your dream and how it's one thing to dream, it's another thing to have a community and a guide and some action steps around how to formalize the dream. Like that's another thing, right? And Committed to the Vision was complete download, complete fire. And she said, God is so good to me. God is so good to me too, because that set me on a path that I didn't even expect for this year. But now I see what's possible, and it's going to be next level everything in the Institute for Redefining Wealth and the Redefining Wealth community. So if you haven't come in a little closer, I don't know how long you've been aware of me, aware of these pillars, but I guarantee you lean in, you'll get a nugget that'll change your life. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm also glad Miss Hirsu Bold. I hope I'm saying it right. She says, God has been convicting me to let go of some things that no longer assigned to the vision and what I wanted versus what is needed and fit for the kingdom. Listen, and that obedience is not always convenient. Can we just say, obedience is not always convenient. It's not always fluffy. It's not always pretty, but obedience is required. If you read Deuteronomy, the blessing of obedience is like this long. Woo, it's like this long. But baby, the curse of disobedience, read Deuteronomy. The blessing of obedience is, and the number one curse that always stands out to me in the disobedience part of that whole book of Deuteronomy, confusion in your mind. Let me stop sharing screen. Confusion in your mind. You want to know why you talk yourself in and you talk yourself out? Why you go in circles? Why you know you can do something and then you make all of these rationales, you let yourself be anchored to the wrong thing forever, and then you see other people doing what you want to do, doing things like you want to do. Confusion in your mind. We did it in I think it was day 3 of Committed to the Vision. When y'all go watch the replays, I was talking about the space pillar. And here we say in the space pillar, clutter is the manifestation of chaos in your mind. Clutter is the manifestation, the physical manifestation of chaos in your mind. If you feel cluttered in any part of your life, I guarantee you, if you feel cluttered about any decisions you need to make, I guarantee you that there is physical clutter that is connected to that in your space. When you feel stuck in your business life, in your career, I guarantee you, look around your office. I just interviewed one of my clients who's brilliant, Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson. And in her book, it's in my studio. In her book, she talks about how right before she had her breakdown, to the outside world, everything else looked beautiful. She had this beautiful office, floor to ceiling windows. She had the parking spot with her name on it. She had been got the job that she always wanted, that she worked 20 years to get. And behind closed doors, she was in breakdown. Got everything she prayed for, was in breakdown. What was one of the signs? She had papers and files cluttered under her desk, piled up under her desk, that other people couldn't see. But she's in the space that she prayed for. But that was the physical manifestation of the breakdown that would ensue when she had to quit her job abruptly. I don't even know how I got there. I was telling you about Deuteronomy and how it talks about the confusion in your mind. That is one of the curses of disobedience. So for those of you who you struggle with the being obedient, I'll tell you, I made obedience my theme of the year back in, I gotta look and see what year it was. It was like 2020, 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. I had it for 2 years. And the first one was, when it came to me, my spirit said, what would your life look like if every time God told you to move, you moved? What would your life look like if every time God told you to move, you actually moved? And when I got that down and had a phenomenal year, every time God told me to move, I was on it. People didn't understand me, didn't matter. People couldn't follow up with like, what is she doing? Didn't matter. If my spirit said it. I came into 2020, God said, erase the board. I had a full board of all whiteboard of all the things that I thought I was going to do. What happened 2020? I erased that board before the pandemic and all the things. This is January. I fell asleep in my prayer room. I think that's what happened. And the Holy Spirit was like, yeah, and go downstairs and erase the board. And I erased the board. I started that year from scratch. Then God gave me a program called Command the Stage. I ended up saying I might do it on my stories, and people were like, yes, please do this. It ended up being one of the most successful programs that we've had in my company, right? It was not even planned for the year, but obedience said erase the board. When I erased the board, I had to sit in a posture of waiting in expectancy, waiting for God to tell me what next. And then I got the download in the shower for Command the Stage. And that's the thing that allowed us to have one of the best years ever at that time in my business. So I don't know who needed to hear that. But your lack of obedience is why you're not manifesting the vision. It's a lack of obedience. Let me give you the fifth one. This is the last one, and I'll let y'all go. Thank you for just rocking with me. I just felt led. I didn't feel, like I know I wasn't supposed to be here. But for Jessica, I'm here. And I'm glad. So here we go. Here's the last one. Number five. You're a part of the wrong herd for this season. The number 5 reason you're not manifesting your vision is because you're a part of the wrong herd. So let's go back to financial psychology. What is herd bias? Herd bias means that we are hardwired to herd. Going against the crowd, going against the tribe is not allowed for many of us, right? Nonconformity will trigger fear in people. And this is actually a video. So when you watch it in the replay, right, you'll see that this is a video of a herd that's just running along. When a herd is just running along, it is unsafe for you to turn around and about face. You just gonna keep going because that's what the herd is doing. Let me just go in this space. This is why some of you have been outcast from your families when you want to talk differently, when you want to dress differently, when you want to believe differently, because you are basically turning away from the herd. So in financial psychology, herd behavior says people tend to mimic the financial behaviors of the majority of the herd they belong to. People tend to mimic the financial behaviors of the majority of the herd they belong to. Show me who you spend your time with, and we will show you your future. You've heard that for many years. Yes, Miss Francis, shout out to your friend who shared this with you. I'm so glad she did. Right? Show me. What you want is a herd that leans into the vision that you have for yourself. It's not that they have to have this exact same vision. They need to have the same heart. You want to be in a space where people use the language of abundance. You want to be in a space where people talk about vision like it's normal. You want to be in a space where people talk about breakthrough. They talk about possibility. They talk about joy. They talk about healthy love and not all this toxic love foolishness that is so prevalent in our communities right now. They talk about wealth. They talk about friendship. They talk about community. You want to put yourself in a herd where this is normal. Remember, people pillar, I said, when you're setting your life up to support you, the number one thing you get from people is language. The number one thing you get from people is language. You better pay attention to the things that people are verbalizing around you, because what people verbalize, they magnify. What people verbalize, they magnetize. They either make it bigger than it is, or they bring more of it to themselves. When you are in a herd where the language is impoverished, and I don't care if this is your church, if you're at a church and the language is around constantly begging and praying impoverished prayers, when you're supposed to serve a big God, when you're supposed to serve a God that could do anything, but people have you praying, just give me a little prayers. Every day, my top thing is, God, I expect you to blow my mind today. God, I expect you to blow my mind today. I don't say, God, can I just get my light bill? Oh my God. Then you mad when you only get the light bill. But you're in spaces where that's the type of language that is encouraged. Are you in the right herd for what you see for yourself? Herd bias. We are hardwired to herd. There's nothing wrong with being in a herd, but curate the right herd for the season that you see yourself in. Listen, I believe in the power of proximity. I've invested in coaching for the last 20 years so I could put myself in spaces just so I can see how people move, how they think, how they process things. It wasn't always for the tactical things. I've never wanted to be a clone of any of my coaches. I don't need a clone. I didn't need to become a clone of Lisa Nichols. I didn't need to become a clone of Steve Harvey, who was my mentor. I didn't need to become a clone of a number of people that I've had the blessing of sitting under. But I needed to be around that belief. I needed to be around people who made decisions with a certain level of conviction. It's hard to be obedient when you lack conviction. It's hard to be obedient when you don't trust yourself or the God that's within you. It's hard to follow through when you're around people who don't believe much, don't believe for much, don't believe much, don't believe in you, don't believe in themselves. It's very hard. Now, do I have family that are like that? Absolutely. But I had to leave that herd and choose the herd that was going in the direction I wanted to go to. Doesn't mean that I don't love my family, but I still had to do based on my aligned vision. I still had to go find what I needed. So physiological vision, like I started out saying, what do you see? Where's your eyesight? When I saw that the people I was around weren't going towards the types of things that I wanted to go towards, even at 18 years old, I started to put myself in places. I used to go to those free seminars. Remember the infomercials back in the day? 18, 19 years old. I would be at the Days Inn and the Holiday Inn and the Hilton with a bunch of older people going, sitting there listening. Didn't understand half of it, but I put myself in the space. Putting myself in the spaces 20 years ago at 18, 19, 20 years old, I believe is why I'm here. That's why I've been able to find my tribe. It's why I've been able to curate such an amazing community of super friends and people around me. Remember when I said I'm relationally wealthy? And I understood being relationally wealthy was not just the people I had to add. I had to let go of some people in order to hold space for the relationships I have now. Didn't burn bridges, but I definitely had to untie. The theme in the Redefining Wealth app this month and on the podcast is stop people pleasing. Woo! Y'all come get that guide. We created a free guide called Stop People Pleasing. It's beautiful. That'll just also, you can't commit to vision when you're worried about pleasing people who don't have a vision that aligns with what you see for yourself. You can't do it. So what herd are you in? So let me recap for you. Number one, these are top 5 reasons your vision isn't manifesting. Number one, you lack aligned vision. When you declare vision, your thoughts, your beliefs, your relationships, your environment, your speech, your herd need to all align. Your physiological vision, what you see, your creative vision, what you dream about, your organizational vision, how you plan, all need to come together. Number 2, you're anchored to the wrong things. An anchor is that piece at the end, but there's a chain. And the chain will let you drift so far, but the chain will never let you get away from the dock. If you've ever been on a cruise or been on a boat or any of that stuff. So we do a lot of busy work and we drift and think we're doing something, but the reason we never hit the vision is because we're anchored to some stuff that doesn't support us. Some people who don't support us, some limiting beliefs and some ideas that don't serve us, right? Number 3, you don't set your life up to support the vision. You're not using the pillars. I have been giving these pillars away for 6 years on the Redefining Wealth podcast. They're in a book called Redefine Wealth for Yourself. That's a $18, $20 book at this point. I don't even know. I'm giving the pillars away, giving them away. The Redefining Wealth app is free. And y'all will set a vision and not consider the pillars. The pillars are the things that help you get to the vision. The pillars and living by the pillars are why I'm here. It's why I could go from scraping up change in 2009 and being on welfare to being literally the money maven of the Steve Harvey Morning Show by 2014. And the things that happened in between then were mind-blowing. Writing for Black Enterprise, who I should be speaking for this month, actually. All the things that I did at that time, it was living by the pillars. It wasn't chasing money. It wasn't checking my credit report every day. You can only do that so often, but you got to take you everywhere you go. So what are you taking? Oh, and I didn't show you guys. We also have a new planner. They just told me that they wanted me to make it a digital version. So my team and I are going to start talking about that. But it's a 90-day pillar planner. So every day it shows you the pillars so that you could keep them front and center as you're planning your life and you're going throughout your day. So you can see, right? I don't know if you can make it out. It says pillar priorities. It's really pretty as a place for you to dream a new dream. Like, it's so nice. And it tells you, like, there's an exercise about who you need to become. So once you set the vision, you also have to be honest about, well, who do I need to become in the fifth pillar, people pillar, space pillar, faith pillar, work pillar, in order to see that vision through. So you can also get a planner, patricewashington.com planner. But there's all these resources around the pillars to help you stay motivated. And I do want to share with you too, while I have you guys. Let's see. Oh, look at them. Let me share this. These are all the people who said yes to coming into the Institute with me. This is not all of them, but in this week, we've had about 150 people become founding members of the Institute for Redefining Wealth. And you can definitely find out more in the Redefining Wealth app, or you could go to redefiningwealth.institute. But I'm so excited. These are purpose chasers from all over the world, literally from Scottsdale, Arizona to Scotland, um, Ireland, to Iowa. Like literally, we have purpose chasers from all over the world who have come in all over the UK, United States, Africa. It's really amazing to see. We just opened the doors like 3 or 4 days ago, and I'm so excited about what we're going to create together. And so another place that if you want to be in like-minded community, like-hearted, you could check out, because your business, purpose, career, and finances will only grow to the extent you're willing to heal. This is a space where we use the pillars to create that healing. We clear the clutter and use the pillars to rebuild our lives in a way that is just more authentic, right? So the Institute for Redefining Wealth, I just launched. We initially shared it at Redefining Wealth Live last October, but this is the first time I've opened it up publicly. And it's a private, like-hearted community. It's hosted on the Redefining Wealth app. You get access to a course I created called Pillar Foundations that'll teach you how to use the pillars in your life. So not only do you get a training that's about 15 minutes on each pillar, but you get 10 to 12 lessons on different things you can do to incorporate in your life. And then you find the rhythm of what works for you. I'm giving you 10 to 12 lessons, but you may just need 2 or 3 that are going to change the game for how you do life in that pillar. Then we have quarterly masterclass trainings that are usually for sale, but anyone in the Institute will be able to come complimentary. They usually range from $97 to $149. We have bi-monthly challenges to support your integration. Next month, we're doing our first big challenge. Next month is the space pillar, and we'll be talking about releasing. So revealing what no longer serves you in terms of physical clutter, releasing it so you could be in position to receive. So I'm actually working on it now. I'm really, really excited about this. So, you know how I was saying for Space Pillar, I was telling y'all that whenever you feel stuck in an area, there's usually a physical area in your environment that represents that chaos. It represents that clutter in your mind. So I'm going to be creating a guide for you guys, and we'll do this in the challenge where if you say, okay, I think my thing this year is really faith pillar, then I'm going to be giving you some physical things to clear and clean out to help you make progress in the faith pillar. So we'll go through all of the pillars, and you guys can do all of it all month if you want, or you can focus on one pillar, but I'm just going to be giving you a lot of ideas around places where you could clear your physical clutter and energetically start to feel better. I'm super excited about that. But those are the types of things. And I'm just having fun with how do I serve? I'm having fun with like thinking about my own life. And every time I experience breakthroughs, what are the things that I'm doing? When I'm coaching clients one-on-one, what are the things that they're doing? And then I'm bringing it to the Institute. So I'm super excited. We have a really great year planned this year and hopefully beyond as well. And then monthly Q&A coaching calls with me. The first call for all these people who just enrolled is on Monday. This week, Monday, the first Monday of every month at 3 p.m. Eastern. And there's also a welcome orientation that happens on the first Monday. So you can do welcome orientation at 12 Eastern and then do the first Q&A with me at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have monthly guest expert trainings. If you recently heard my interview with Dr. Romy, it was called How to Cure Busy Brain. She is board certified real doctor in real life. She's also a mindfulness expert. And she just wrote a book about how to cure busy brain. Well, she's going to do a bonus session with me in the Institute called A House Call with Dr. Romy. She is talking to women in particular about hormonal health, mindfulness. When you're experiencing brain fog, she will be answering your questions live. Like we will be on a Zoom together. So that's an example of like a monthly guest expert. Plus, we have our normal, this was a bonus that I'm just doing, but we have our normal monthly guest expert training as well. That's being released this upcoming week. Weekly wealth affirmations, community-led purpose pop-ups, like all the things. Playlists by the pillar, book recommendations by the pillar, which we're populating now. I just have so many amazing things planned to help you live by the pillars. So, whatever you say the vision is, how can we make sure that you're surrounded with the resources you need and the community? Plus, if you want to come to Redefining Wealth Live with us, this is all about purpose chasers, meeting them in real life, which we got to see this past one. My first Redefining Wealth Live was last October, and it was outstanding. The same love and genuine spirit that y'all have felt maybe in my like not in my podcast, maybe the podcast, but in my programs, or just in these online spaces, it was like 100x that in person. So this is a live now annual event for purpose chasers. And if you come into the Institute this weekend by 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, you'll get $300 off your ticket to Redefining Wealth Live. You get access to, again, Pillar Foundations. It's really a bonus because it was for my kind of my mastermind program, but I'm giving you guys access to it as new people. And then you get to see or have access to the replay of Committed to the Vision Forever, as long as you're in the Institute, of course, because Institute members will always get access to the replays of things that I teach. It'll come down for everyone else, which is why I'm telling y'all binge Committed to the Vision this weekend if you can. But if you're in the Institute, you'll have access to it always. And all of this, you guys, is for $49 a month. This is the most affordable thing I have ever offered in my life. Anyone who's been around this community for a while knows that for many years, and I can tell you honestly why that is now. I can articulate that. But for many years, I felt safer in smaller spaces with people. And so even though I've spoken on stages up to 10, 12,000 people, the ambivert, the introverted part of me preferred to keep my programs at 100 people or less, which means I'd always have to charge more. But I felt in this season that God was like, I'm calling you to the masses. Like I'm called, like the vision now for me is not to keep it small where I can see who everybody is and I like to know everybody's name, which is cool. But this is like, this is not about you. This is about making this more accessible to support more people. So right now for Redefining Wealth Institute, it's $20.24 for the first month if you join me as a founding member, and then it goes to $49 a month. And then the annual membership is usually $497. That's what we wanted to retail it out. But as for annual membership for the first year as a founding member, I'm taking 2 months off free, and it'll be $397. So if you're interested in anything like that, if you're interested in having a new herd, coming in closer, using the pillars in that way, then I really want to encourage you to think about. Oh, I love that, Lauren. Thank you. While I'm back in your program, I feel so connected to you. I know I do too. And I have to tell you what is the big thing. And I talked about this in my book, Redefine Wealth for Yourself, but I was harassed online for like 18 months, somewhere between 16 and 18 months. And this was leading up to before I ever offered a group coaching program. And so I recognize looking back, which is why fit pillar therapy, all these things are so important. I used to tense up at the thought of someone coming into a space only to basically, no, not by you, Lauren. I wasn't harassed by you. I know who I was harassed by. I'm very clear who it was, but they would make like a million different profiles and they would be in Facebook. They would come to my Facebook lives. They would go in my Facebook groups and say like really crazy things. And my team or whoever was helping me at the time would always have to be managing and curating. And I didn't feel safe. When it came down to it, I had developed a bubble and layer of protection around me. So while I looked very public to most people in that season, I was really afraid of being like around a lot of people. And so I built my programs in a way that kept me safe. And we did very well, and it's been beautiful. She had to make sure that y'all knew she wasn't the stalker. She wasn't the person harassing me. But I'm so free. I'm so free now. And I know that God has called me to serve the masses, and I'm not afraid anymore. But there's a lot of things I had to be radically honest about releasing from my life in order for me to experience this level of freedom. And I am fighting to create a space Like, I am so committed to creating a space where more people, more women in particular, more purpose chasers can be free, where we could be radically honest, we can awaken to the things that no longer serve us, we can redefine wealth for ourselves, right? And we can actualize. We not only know what God has called us to do, we have the guts to go do it. I have the guts now. I have the guts now. I've been out here for a long time. And if you asked me years ago, did I think that I was in bondage of some kind? I would have said no, because by any other person's definition, I was totally successful. But I feel it. And more than anything, I feel relationally wealthy. I feel relationally free. And I'm telling you, I had to get the guts to remove some things from my life that just did not serve me. And I just want to hold space in the Institute where people can feel safe and aligned and supported and encouraged to do the same. That you do get to redefine wealth for yourself, and it doesn't have to look like it's looked for anybody else. I'm living in that now, and it feels so good. It feels so good. So, again, if I was just here for Jessica, Jessica, God bless you. You're not here by happenstance. Download the Redefining Wealth app. It's totally free. Come and get in a space where we are a herd of people who are moving in the right direction. And if you want to come in a little closer and actually be coached and mentored by me, then come into the Institute. It's $397 for the year, or it's $49 a month. You can start at $20.24 for this month. And let's get going. Let's finally stop talking about it and lean into the vision that's been on our hearts. Some of you are like, I don't know what the vision is. You can catch my live from 2 weekends ago, maybe it was, where I gave you 3 questions to ask yourself, 3 steps. But yeah, if you don't know what the vision is, like, come be in a space where you can clear clutter so you can finally hear and see what God has been calling you to. And if you do know what the vision is, come get in a space where we will be your cheerleaders and your encouragers, right? We will be the people, and you can choose the herd. You can choose the voices that you want to lean into. So I hope this blesses you. I'm gonna like log out. I'm here way longer than I thought I would be, but I hope that this blesses you. I'll make sure that it's saved. So if you want to go back to it, you can. Please come over to the Redefining Wealth app. It is such a beautiful, beautiful space. I would love to serve you there. We share the podcast episodes there every week as well, but we also get to talk about it and share our ahas. And for those of you who just feel like Facebook and social media is really heavy, we're going into a heavy season. If you know anything about US election seasons and you want to be in a space that is full of language that is abundant, that is about wealth, that is about joy, that is about freedom, that is about the things that you feel more aligned to, this is the space. And we have people from all over the world. You're able to find people who are in an area near you on the app and connect with other purpose chasers. My vision is that God just blows my mind, and we have the most incredible community ever. And I'd love for you guys to join me. My heart has always been to create community around the pillars. If you listen to my first episodes, I say this is about us growing together. I'm almost 350 episodes in 6 years, and I still feel the same. This is about us growing together. And I feel more free than I ever have to serve more fully than I ever have. And I've done very well. And I have thousands of people who love me all over the world. And I'm so grateful for that. But now this is like next level vision. This is my version of the aligned vision. So everything that I do is leading towards building a space where you could really commit to your vision, chase your purpose, and then earn more without feeling like you ever have to chase money, but also keep it. Because this clutter in the other parts of your life is leaking money left and right. and we gotta plug those holes. So let's get you anchored to something better. Redefiningwealth.app, redefiningwealth.institute, all things redefining wealth. It's our season, guys. It's go time. You guys be blessed. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. If you want to join as a founding member, remember the cutoff is tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I'm sorry, I didn't share. I know I didn't even share this with you. I didn't even have it here. I wasn't planning on being here. I just wanted to come share the one thing that God told me to share. And now here I am. But let me put it here on the screen for you. It's redefiningwealth.institute for anyone who's interested. It's redefiningwealth.institute. So, and I'll see if I could drop it in the chat. All right, you guys. Thanks for your time today. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being a part of the Redefining Wealth community. It's okay to come in closer. We don't bite. Yeah. And I'll see y'all soon. Be blessed. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.